welcome to the last day of May. We're ready for the wonderful days of June now to come. And with it, a sense of, summer is on its way. And with it, all that goes with that in our minds and in our thinking. Sunny days, balmy days, holiday days, and so on. Brightness and lightness and so forth. And what creates all of that? Atmosphere. Atmosphere. Today we're thinking about atmosphere. You have a beautiful picture on your handout today indicating the atmosphere, the cosmic atmosphere we all exist and live in. That is the seminal atmosphere that you and I are experiencing every day of our lives. But there are other kinds of atmospheres too, many of them. And today I'm just going to mention, our home atmosphere, the domestic atmosphere we have at home. We have a professional or work atmosphere that we experience too. But the atmosphere I want to hone in on is our own personal atmosphere. And each of us have that, a personal atmosphere that we feel in and think from and act from and live from. And that is the most important atmosphere that we can indeed pay attention to, so that all the other atmospheric things that happen in our lives happen well. And so we're going to ask ourselves this week to take a look at how we're doing in that regard. Well, what is my, mental and emotional atmospheres looking like at the moment? How am I doing in that regard? Because out of that flows all of the experiences of my life. And so the scriptures abound, all of the scriptures across the board and all the great writings across the board speak to atmosphere, mental and emotional environments or atmospheres, and how important they are in the lives that we are living, the kind of lives that we are living. And, the scriptures are certainly no exception to that. And so we read, you shall decree a thing, and it shall be so. You make up your mind about something, and that's what it's going to be. That's exactly what it's going to be. One of my favorite quotes in the scriptures from Isaiah, I think you find it in 55, I think it's verse 11, I'm not sure. Verses anymore don't matter to me. They all flow into each other. But I believe that's what that one is, because it had such an impact on me. I don't believe I have forgotten the verse and the chapter, 55:11. And it is, and so it is with so it is with my word. It goes forth from me, and it does not return unto me void, but it establishes that whereunto I send it. My word, my thinking, my feeling that backs it up, that's what my word is. So as I am in my mind, I create an atmosphere, and that atmosphere creates an emotional atmosphere. And then depending upon what that combo is like, flow all the experiences of my life and my living, you see. And that's why, again, it's written also, and I think that it's Matthew, it's in that beautiful section where all the Beatitudes are and so on in the Gospel of Matthew. This one is 5:8, and he says in it, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God." What does that mean, blessed are the pure of heart? Well, heart in Scripture always means consciousness. Consciousness. As I am in my heart, so I am in life and living. As I am in my consciousness, so I am in life and living. And so it simply means that those of us who have cleared and purged and released from our imagination, any belief in secondary causes, are free to realize any kind of a good life we so desire through the intelligent use of our imagination, which is our movement upon consciousness. And that's an awesome thought. Blessed are we who are so clear and purged of and released from any belief, any faith in secondary causes outside of ourselves, and know the power of imagination in producing whatever is going on in our lives, and we use that awareness. We have assimilated it so intelligently that we can be free from every lack and every limitation, free from it all. We can, if we but think aright, because in thinking aright, we feel aright. Put those two powers together, and you have the basis for an awesome life and an incredible, incredible journey on this plane. But how do we go about that? What has to be done? Now, what has to be done is you and I understanding the law of assumption. We have to understand the law of assumption, understanding it, assimilate it, and then working it. What is the law of assumption? The law of assumption says if you assume the feeling of the good that you desire to realize now, you absolutely will realize it. So assume the feeling of the desired good already in place. That's the law of assumption. What does that expand in mind as? It expands as, if I can see the end, as Emerson says, if I can see the end that I wish to accomplish, if I can see it, if I can believe it, if I can enter into it, if I can imagine it, if I can act as though it is so, the means by which that is going to happen must appear, because it is the law. It's the law of assumption. It's the law of assumption. So what does that look like in me going about saying, yes, that's what I will do now? I will assume the feeling, I will assume that of the good that I so desire to realize. I'm going to start feeling like it's already so. I'm going to start thinking like it's already so. I'm going to start acting like it's already so. How do I do that? How do I do that? And it's very simple. I stop thinking of the good, and I start thinking from the good. I think from the health I wish to experience. I think from the prosperity I wish to experience. I think from the great job I want to experience. I think from the great home I want to experience. I think from whatever that is that I want to experience, and I stop thinking of it. When I'm thinking of it, two things are happening. There's a subject, there's an object, there's the individual, there's the thing. When I'm thinking from it, there is union and fusion of me with the thing, the good that I desire. I have unified with it. I have fused with it. There's just the one thing going on, and it's all going on as the one thing, and it's all going on in me. There's no subject and object. There's just the thing itself. Oh my gosh, this is pure wisdom. This, in the past, was a secret. You had to be initiated into it. You had to go through so many trials and tribulations before you would be exposed to this information. You had to be the creme de la creme of the whatever, intelligentsia. But now, it's given to us all to know this, to free ourselves in the awareness of this, to allow ourselves to be who and what we are. There are no dominions anymore. We are all level playing on a level field, and we're all equally pegging with each other. Some of us are just using what's available to us more fully than others. That is all. So if you and I can just read between the lines that are always there telling us, Paul, if there's anything good, if there's anything holy, if there's anything just, if there's anything true, if there's anything of good report, think on these things. Think on these things. And we're saying, think from these things. Not about them, not of them, but from them. I want to be a good person. When? In some other lifetime? I want to be what I am already now. We live in a complete and finished universe. Everything of good that is to be already is. It is available to you. It is available to me. It's already present on the invisible side of life. It is an energy at the moment. It is an energy awaiting your movement upon the energy through your thinking and your feeling to flesh it out into form, the form of an experience. That's all. And we do it through matching our thoughts and feelings with the good that is desired, and we become it already in mind and emotion. We become it already. That's what you have to do. That's our hard work. That's what we have to do. And it is hard work because we're so not used to doing it. We're so not in the habit of it. We're so in the habit of thinking that every good thing is in the future that I'm lacking right now. It's in the future, or it's outside of myself. It's out there somewhere. It may or may not come. It may or may not happen. That's what we're habituated into. We have to stop that. So what is required when I want to use the law of assumption beautifully and magnificently? I have to change my mind. God help me. I have to change my mind, and in the changing of my mind, change how I'm feeling. Change how I'm feeling. It's an automatically given thing. If I change my thinking, I will change my feeling. If I change my mental atmosphere, I will change my emotional atmosphere. Oh, you and I have to be very careful this week with regard to all of those pictures we are conjuring up and developing in the dark room of our minds. We have to be very careful about that if we want to release and let go of all that stuff and nonsense about what I haven't got and what I'm lacking in. If I haven't got it and if I'm lacking in it, it's my own doing. Because I'm not thinking aright. Righteousness is thinking aright. It is taking the beautiful gift of imagination and it is using that on the affirmative side of life. I can be sitting in this sanctuary on my own, quietly, and at the same time, through the use of my imagination, I am on top of that mountain in Arrowhead, and I am feeling the breezes, and I am seeing the stars, and I am feeling the warmth of the campfire, and I am there, totally, fully feeling it. There's no doubt about it. I can do that about any other good thing I want in my life too. And so can you. Now, when I match the feeling and the thinking together, when I'm thinking from it, when I've identified with it, that is the knocking that opens. That is the asking that receives. That is the seeking that finds. That's what it is. I become it. I can't say it any more simply than that. The good that you desire, the good that I desire, I must become it now. Now. There's no will be. There really is no will be, and nothing happens in the will be's. Nothing happens in the land of the will be's. Everything happens in the land of I am. Now, not I will be. Everything happens in the land of I am now. So I must assume that, like that woman assumed that she would be able to feed her children even though there wasn't a penny in her pocket or a crumb of bread in the kitchen cupboard. But something in her knew, because she had come across Florence Scovel Shinn's book, And she had read it and she had studied it, and she decided, I'm going to put this to the test. What did she do? She set the table for dinner. She even went out and pulled a bunch of wild flowers. She brought them in and put them in a little pot and put them on the table. And she set that table knowing, I will feed my children in this day. I will feed my children because I'm knowing there is food aplenty. I am knowing I can do this. 3 o'clock in the afternoon or thereabouts, a knock comes to the door. And it's an insurance man with an insurance policy that had come to fruition that she'd completely forgotten about. And she fed her children and got the start she needed to be able to take care of business. But you have to believe, and I have to believe, and I have to know it beyond the shred of a doubt. If I can assume the feeling of the desired good fulfilled already without doubt, then it is done unto me, because I have decreed a thing and it is so. Because everything that you decree is going to happen. And when you're decreeing illness, when you're decreeing sickness, when you're decreeing lack and limitation, not enoughness, whatever else it is, it's happening. You're experiencing it and you're getting what you decree. And very often, it's an unconscious decree, because we're so habituated into not enoughness of some kind or another. It happens automatically once the seed gets sown into the subconscious fertile soil. Now, any little simple thought of gravity that moves through your mind once in a blue moon has no power. There's not enough oomph to it. There's not enough belief in it. There's not enough support of it to sow itself in your subconscious mind. But the thing that you and I consistently think about, are afraid of, get scared over, what we're consistently doing that around, will realize in our lives. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. They shall see good. So I have to clear my imagination, which is my great asset. My imagination, and yours too, that's my creative process. That's how I create everything in my life, through my imagination, which is my movement upon consciousness itself. How I use consciousness through my imagination. Which is why all the great ones, especially Einstein, said above all things else, imagination is the most important thing in life and living. So what are you going to change your mind about this week? It's like the couple getting married, hadn't got a clue how they were going to have a home, but they sat down and they planned their home. They drew up plans. They planned it, they saw it, they envisaged it, they talked about every room, what would be in it, the cupboards and everything else, the furniture and so on. And let me tell you, in time and in good time, they moved into that very house that they had planned. It's a powerful thing, the imagination. And you know, if you look to yourself and see what you have imagined constantly yourself in your life, how that came to be, good, bad, or indifferent. If you imagined it, there it was. Do you remember as children we loved to daydream? Go back and think about what you daydreamed about and see if any of that has come to pass. What did you daydream of as a child? Did it come to pass? I know mine did. The ones I really loved to engage in came to pass. Absolutely. And I only remember the good stuff. Of course, I've decided now I'm not going to remember any of the bad stuff. Forget about that. So what is it going to be? What will it take for you to take responsibility for your own life and to move into that kind of control? And the only thing you and I have control over is our mind, our imagination, and consequently our feelings. What is the atmosphere like in the home of your mind and the landscape of your mind? Mostly 51% of the time. What is the landscape of your mind like? Is it somewhere I would want to be? Is it somewhere you want to be? You know, is your mind, as I often say, a safe place for you to be in? Is it? I've said that to friends. Oh my gosh, your mind doesn't seem to be a very safe place to be in. Perhaps, you know, a little bit of rearranging of the furniture of your mind could help, you know. I mean, if we were as fastidious about rearranging the furniture of our mind as we are about the furniture in our homes, we'd do well. We would do well. But remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And if it's going to be at all, I have to be in control of my imagination and what goes on there. It's a very powerful force and energy, the power of imagination. If I can see it, conceive it, and believe it, I can achieve it. Napoleon Hill was saying that up and down the yin-yang. And not only Napoleon Hill, but many more besides him and before him. So I'm going to challenge us all this week to take a hard, deep look at what's going on in our minds, in our mental atmosphere, and see how that's affecting our emotional atmosphere, and see how those two together are producing whatever it is that's going on in our lives right now. So, what I have to do is to think uplifting thoughts, think healing thoughts, think creative thoughts, think productive thoughts, think uplifting, advancing, nurturing, nourishing, flourishing thoughts. And the more of those I think, the better I will feel. And the better I feel, the more faith and trust and confidence I will have in the creative process in my life. In other words, in myself and in my sovereign ability to take care of my life and take care of it well, to take care of it wisely. And in all things to be able to give thanks, and in all things to be grateful. And out of gratitude flows joy, and out of joy and gratitude flows peace, and out of peace I become poised, and when I'm poised, I am absolutely ready to be very creative on the affirmative side of life, because I will not be disturbed and I will not be moved off of the realization that if this good is coming to me, to be realized, it's because I can realize it, and if I draw upon that higher and greater power within me, I can move mountains, wherever the mountain is. Absolutely I can. So the call this week is, whatever is good, whatever is whole, whatever is holy, whatever is true, whatever is just, whatever is of good rapport, think only on these things and don't be caught out in less than thinking. And you and I will have a most fantastic week, better maybe than ever before. So remember this, and I will leave you with the words. You shall decree a thing, and it shall be so. And the word that leaves your lips does not return to you void, but comes back to you realizing the good you sent it forth to realize. In all things, think well, think aright, and know that every good thing is available to you, and it's available to you now. Now that's the truth, and so it is.